Hey guys, welcome to episode number 6 of GeoColors. So the majority of my 28 subscribers are from the US, and I know this because all of them are my friends. Yes, I know it's sad, but because it's sad, you know what you should do? Maybe perhaps subscribe. Now, although the majority of my subscribers are from the US, I want to make a video summarizing each US state to expand my viewer base beyond my city, in hopes of maybe attracting foreigners who want to learn more about the US. So with that being said, I'm going to summarize every state in alphabetical order, starting with Alabama. Out of all states in the US, Alabama is like the most confederate and religious state. Also, Alabama is home to the Gulf Shores, which is kind of like where Southerners go for beaches if they don't want to worry about the hassle of going to California. Alaska, America's refrigerator state. I know Texans kind of pride themselves for being tough, but many Alaskans literally are forced to build their own homes in frigid cold weather and hunt for their own food just because they're so isolated. You could also literally see Russia from here. It's only like 2.5 miles away. Arizona, the Grand Canyon state. This is the most desertified state in the US. Arizona is also home to the largest concentration of Navajo people at over 140,000. Arkansas, the dog-loving state. Yeah, people here really love dogs, and 1 out of 2 people you meet has a dog. Honestly, just read Where the Red Fern Grows. It will give you the gist of what Arkansas is like. California, the Hollywood state. This is also the most diverse and populated state in the US. Let me put it this way, if California was to somehow secede from the US, it would still be the world's 7th most powerful economic superpower. Yeah, California, very important to the economy of the US. Colorado, our healthiest state. This is probably because Colorado has a lot of mountains and people here really love the outdoors. Just be careful if someone offers you a brownie, they're really enjoying their cannabis laws. Honestly, all you need to know about Connecticut is that it's the cleaner and gentler suburb that New Yorkers move to when they get sick and tired of New York. Delaware. The only thing this state has going for them is the fact that they were the first state to become a state. I literally cannot think of anything else. I think they might have like a little cardboard factory. Florida, the Sunshine State. Florida is the flattest state in America, not Kansas. What's interesting is that Orlando was originally established because not many Americans were able to go all the way to California for Disneyland, so they built Disney World and made it bigger, and like 8,000 other theme parks opened. Georgia, the state named after England's King George II, not the country Georgia in the Caucasus region. A lot of Hollywood's starting to move to Atlanta because of how tax-friendly the city is. Georgia is also home to Coca-Cola and the busiest airport in the country. Hawaii, the last state to become a state. Like they were literally their own thriving Polynesian country. Otherwise, you know the rest. Hula, coconuts, pineapples. Idaho, the potato state. The only thing Americans know about Idaho is that they produce a lot of potatoes, and the shape of the state resembles an axe, except the side looks like it was bitten off by a hungry bear. Illinois, or Chicago. Half of all Americans probably don't know what state Chicago's in, and the other half probably think it's its own state. And no, Lincoln wasn't born here, he was born in Kentucky. They also were like the cow slaughter of America, and I think they had like a little mafia thing going on. Indiana, the state that I don't know anything about. Well, John Green was born here, and they also host the Indy 500 car race because the state is virtually empty. Iowa. Iowa's kind of like the state that was so flat and so dull they had to find creative ways to entertain themselves. Oh, and they're also the #1 producer of corn in the US, and they really love wrestling. Kansas, the sunflower state. This is kind of like the breadbasket state, growing more wheat than any other state. They're also located right in the geographic center of the country. They're also famous for Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. Kentucky. In my opinion, this is one of the most famous states to outside foreigners just because of KFC. What else? Baseball bats, bourbon, horse derbies. It's also home to Fort Knox, where we hide all our gold. Louisiana. This is the most francophone state in the US. People here really love crawfish, crabs, reptiles, and alligators. I feel like the people here are just like the Duck Dynasty, except that they speak French Creole. This place is unlike anywhere else in the US. Maine, the lobster state. This is like where the toughest and strongest Atlantic sailors live in lighthouses hidden in the foggy shores of the freezing Atlantic waters. Oh, and if you're afraid of horror movies, don't go there. It's where Stephen King bases a lot of his books in. Maryland, the blue crab state. People here really love crabs, and Maryland produces the most crabs in the US. It's also home to the most educated African Americans in the country, and it's where Michael Phelps is from. Massachusetts, the Library of America. This is where Harvard University was founded and is located. I feel like that's where the most Shakespearean sophisticated Americans live. Michigan, the most abandoned state in the US with the most abandoned buildings. Probably because they filed the largest municipal bankruptcy case in the US. Michigan, I'm really sorry for you guys. Minnesota, the Finland of the US. I say this because it's home to the largest concentration of lakes in the US, just like Finland, and it's also home to the biggest concentration of Finnish people in the country. Their people are so attractive, not so much as their accents. Mississippi, the fattest state in the US. People here really love pecans and fast fast food restaurants. They're also kind of like America's truest Confederacy state. People here really love their churches, and tons of famous people like Elvis and Oprah were born here. Missouri, the state that has the largest part of Kansas, although the city is named after Kansas. The well-known Kansas City barbecue was developed within Missouri. Otherwise, I feel like people in Missouri are the type to collect tacky figurines and put them in old antique cabinets. Montana, the incredibly cold and desolate state where everyone loves hunting season more than Christmas season. Literally, everyone here eats meat. People in Montana who don't eat meat might be harder to find than unicorns. Sorry guys, that's just the image that conjures up in my head when I think of you. Nebraska, corn and meat. That's literally the only thing going on for them. Oh, Warren Buffett was born here. Nevada, they're kind of like California's drunk girlfriend that loves to gamble. I think we also bury our nuclear waste in here somewhere out in the desert. New Hampshire, this is where we get so much of our granite and gravel from. New Hampshire is also known for having the most beautiful autumn wonderlands with beautiful foliage and small wooden bridges. Yeah, New Hampshire. New Jersey, people here are very angry and very loud. They don't even deny it, they just accept it. It is also our densiest state. Everything is close to everything, which is probably why they go ballistic at each other all the time. New Mexico, this is like the most Mexican out of all states in the US at 47%. It has a lot of deserts, cactuses, mountains. Oh, and this is where aliens were thought to have landed. Yeah, no New Mexican will deny that aliens exist. New York, this is kind of like where many of America's white people can trace their ancestry back to. Ellis Island in New York is where many of the European immigrants came from and were processed by the federal government. And they never sleep. Literally, New York City is always moving no matter the time of the day. North Carolina, this is where the Wright brothers flew the world's first successful motor-operated airplane in 1903. Otherwise, Coca-Cola's arch nemesis Pepsi was born here. North Dakota, this is the coldest state in mainland America. I feel like people here are a bunch of winter weather warriors. Also, there are a lot of Norwegians that live here. Interestingly enough, North Dakota has never fit the title of statehood until 2011, so they technically became a state 9 years ago. Ohio, this is like the most plain Jane American state with corn dogs in the summer, fireworks, and carnivals. Also, these guys could be raving lunatics when it comes to football. Oklahoma, the tornado capital of the US. People from Oklahoma know how to pull together in a crisis. Basically, every house has to have a tornado shelter or else people would die. Oregon. Oregon is the lumber state where big burly lumberjacks live with axes and chainsaws. I feel like Oregon's kind of like the state that hippies from California move to when they get tired of pollution and traffic. Pennsylvania, our history capital. Our capital should have been here, and technically at one point Congress held congressional meetings in Philadelphia. Yeah, Pennsylvania is like the grandpa of all states that will be happy to tell you all about American history. Rhode Island. This is our smallest state. People here consider any drive above 20 minutes to be a road trip. South Carolina. People here are kind of like yee cowboys, except they have really nice beaches. Also, South Carolina has the largest Gullah. And for those of you who don't know who the Gullah people are, they basically are African Americans who preserve more of their African linguistic and cultural heritage than any other African American community in the United States. South Dakota. Literally, the only thing Americans know about the state is that it's home to Mount Rushmore. Otherwise, I feel like people from here are the type to leave their doors unlocked and their cars running. Tennessee, the country music capital. This is where country music artists go to make a deal. People here really love their trucks, their whiskeys, and their mountains. Utah, the Mormon capital of Earth. People here don't cuss, they improvise. Instead of saying the F word, they probably say something like fetch or fudge. Otherwise, they have great skiing, beautiful rock formations, and the Sundance Festival comes here all the time. Vermont, the state where people worship maple syrup. Other than that, Ben & Jerry's was founded here. Virginia, the state where America started. The first town in America was founded in Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. They also really love apples. Apple butter, apple pie, apple cake, apple fritters, apple sauce, you get the picture. Washington. Imagine the same scenario with Oregon except replace hippies with computer nerds. And bam, Expedia, Starbucks, Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all born. West Virginia, the capital of the Appalachian Mountains. They also were the most southern state that was once part of the Union. They were like, nope, Virginia, I'm leaving you. This is also where we get a lot of our coal from. Wisconsin. In my opinion, people from here are the easiest to get along with. They are proud of being from Wisconsin, and people here are fiercely devoted fans who will drink you under the table. And lastly, Wyoming. This is the emptiest state with the lowest population. It's also home to the most famous national park in America, Yellowstone. What else? A lot of buffalo, waterfalls, shooting geysers, and it's also kind of like the training ground for actual cowboys. Well, that's it for you guys, all 50 states of the US summarized. Thank y'all for watching, make sure you like and subscribe. Stay safe, stay productive, and most importantly, keep wandering.